All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to the July 2023 Knoxville Transportation Authority meeting. We'll start our agenda with a determination of the quorum. Mr. Lawhorn.
We have 7 members present in the room. We do have a quorum. I understand we may have one joining for observation by remotely, but 7 present for purposes of a quorum.
Thank you. All right, so this is a little unique day in that we have a public hearing as part of our agenda today. So we will have a public hearing on Kta R recommended bus network. And so for those of the public that are joining us, the way this will work is if you've signed up to speak, we'll let you come up and speak for up to 5 minutes. We won't do Q&A back and forth with you during that portion of the meeting. We'll have another portion of the meeting that should be very brief, and then the board will discuss the network changes briefly after. So at that point, we will hopefully probably respond to some of your comments that we hear early on. So with that said, I have a list of speakers here in front of me, and we'll start with that. Is Mr. Edward Patrick here?
Yes, sir.
Please come to the podium, if you would. Mr. Patrick, good to see you. State your name and your address for the record, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Edward Patrick. My address is 850 Volunteer Landing Lane in Knoxville 37902. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just have several short points I want to make. The first is a big shout out to the staff. They did a wonderful job reimagining. There's a predicate question about whether the reimagining should be reimagined in the way they were doing it, but they certainly worked very hard to try and navigate through these problems. Second, there will be a representative from the O'Connor Center. I go there 4 or 5 times a week. Every week I take French, German, and Italian, and I take Tai Chi and some other exercise programs. It's a fabulous place. It's imperative that there continue to be a bus that drops people off right smack in front of the center. Leaving them off on Winona or Magnolia is not sufficient. But someone else will speak in more detail about that. I also, very important, I want to focus on 2 other issues. The Blue Line trolley currently goes down Hill Avenue and hits the Blunt Mansion, the Volunteer Landing, waterfront access. There's an elevator there that takes people down, the James White Fort, and the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Those 4 major tourist attractions will be cut off completely under this connector theory. I think it's a great idea to have a connector, and they have to do something to connect different places that previously were not connected. But here's my recommendation. If the connector comes up Church Avenue, it can make a right on Gay Street, come down to Hill Avenue, make a left on Hill Avenue, hit Blunt Mansion, Volunteer Landing, the Fort, and the Hall of Fame, and then make a left on Hall of Fame Drive. So you will lose, if you do not do that, you will lose those 4 major tourist attractions that people are constantly saying, I love that cute trolley that drops me right there in front of all those attractions. So I urge you, all it would take would be 3 blocks in one direction and 3 blocks back the other direction. Of course, someone would say, well, blah, 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 that's a problem, it'll add time, etc. Well, it's all a series of trade-offs, and I recommend that. The last point I want to make is that there is a chasm between downtown and the university, and you have to walk down into a Devil's Glen down there at the bottom of the hill and then up the hill, or you walk across Clinch Avenue. If it is true that there is a wonderful T line over at UT, but you have to get to the T line. And if you abolish the trolley, the Orange Line trolley, you will not have anything going to the university, except you will have, in fairness, you will have the bus, the Kingston Pike bus, but you have to pay for the bus, and people like the trolley, especially, by the way, and not just by the way, it's free. I cannot imagine charging 25 cents and having 30 people get on the parking garage stop and try and pay 25 cents just to get to Gay Street. So please keep it at a free trolley system. But let me go back to the Orange Line. The Orange Line could come across Clinch Avenue, drop people off at the corner, either at the corner of 11th, or it could go up to 16th or anywhere in between, turn around and come back. So it doesn't have to be a big line, but it gets people to the university. And ignoring the university, I think, is a bad idea. So those are my main points. I want to make sure I was clear on them. Keep the trolley free, get the blue line to come back, get the orange line to do something. Those are, and the O'Connor Senior Citizen Center. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Next on the list, we have Jimmy Griffin. Hello, Mr. Griffin. You would step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You'll have up to 5 minutes. And usually we have a clock up here, but not right now. So I'll time you and give you a heads up when you have a minute later. Mr. Patrick, you just nailed the 5 minute perfect, so you didn't need it. I'll give everybody else a little bit of a heads up. Thank you.
Oh, okay, my name is Jimmy Griffin, and I want to talk about that 30 and 24 and 90 bus. That's the bus I really need where I stay is 2451 Brown Avenue, and that's the only bus that comes over through that way to pick people up. And that's really the main bus I really need because I catch that bus, I go to the grocery store, I go pay my bills, and I go to the doctor. Where I catch the bus and it changed over to 24, and then I go all the way and catch 90 bus and go to the doctor. Well, I go all the way to Fountain City. So hey, if I cut my bus out, and they're gonna leave me lost. I won't have no way to even get around. And then because it's too far to walk, try to go catch another bus. Because it comes right there by the church, right there on Crawford Street, and I stay on Brown Avenue. They right there by each other. I don't have too far to walk with my groceries and stuff. And so I try to get a lot of people to come, but they didn't come now. I really hate it if they didn't. If we cut the buses out and they'd be standing there waiting for it. I'm going to tell you should have came to the meeting, but a lot of them I couldn't get to come. But that's what I want to talk about it because that bus is very handy. There's a lot of people ride that bus too, that 30, that 24, and that 90 bus. And a lot of people go to work on it. And a lot of people catch that 24, 30, go to work on it. And I tried to get that lady to come down, but she had to go to work. She ride that bus to go to work and stuff, but she couldn't make it to the meeting. So that's what I wanted to talk about, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. We're glad you're here. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next, we have Gene Daly. Just as a reminder, if you'll state your name and address for the record, you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. I am Jean Daly, and I live at 1508 McCroskey Avenue, apartment 913, which is Broadway Towers in Knoxville. And I really wanted to make a question and a comment. I have looked at the map several times, the new proposed bus route map, and it looks like Broadway Towers will still be keeping our bus stop at 23, it looks like, which would be wonderful. And what looks like an improvement, I have heard that the bus 23 will get rerouted so that seniors can go to the O'Connor Senior Center, because we've got over 250 seniors. Some of them are bored and would love to be able to go to the senior activities, and this would just be a wonderful blessing. And as I understand it, we'd still be able to get to Walmart. So I think that is just terrific, and it's better than what we've got now. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, David Palmer.
Hello, I'm David Palmer. My address is 3636 Tallaluna Avenue. That's in Sequoia Hills. First of all, I just want to thank the board for helping this city run a great bus service. Background for me is that I've used the CAT bus for the last 10 years, every day, Monday to Friday, to get to work. That's the number 10 bus, the Sequoia Hills bus. You'll notice in the new plan, the number 10 bus has been eliminated. I completely understand that. There were very few riders on it. I mean, it was very convenient for me. I loved it, but I understand for financial decisions that can't continue. The alternative for me and for other people in Sequoia Hills is the number 11 bus. That's the bus that runs east-west across Kingston Pike. That's a relatively short walk for many Sequoia residents, so we can just walk up to Kingston Pike. There's a number of points there to get the bus. However, I looked at the new map, you'll be able to see it in front of you, you'll see that the route of the number 11 has changed in a crucial way. Currently, the number 11 runs across Kingston Pike through the part up at the top of Sequoia Hills. What it does in the new map, you'll see, is that it actually goes, instead of going all the way across Sequoia Hills, it actually goes up onto Sutherland, avoiding Sequoia Hills, and coming right back down by the university. So what that means is that people in Sequoia Hills, about 4,000 residents, many students, as you know, aren't going to have any bus to catch. I think many of us would be fine just taking that walk up to the number 11 in its current location, taking the bus at Kingston Pike. But now it means we're not going to have any bus at all because of that route change going up from Sutherland. My sense as to why there's that route change up through Sutherland is because, if I understand it correctly, the current bus that runs through Sutherland is being eliminated, and there are clearly people at Sutherland who need a bus, as well as people in Sequoia Hills who need a bus. On the current plan for the number 11, the bus is going to run every 15 minutes, which of course is great. My humble suggestion to you might be something like the following. What we want is a bus that people in Sequoia can take, and also the residents in Sutherland can take, and that bus runs every 15 minutes. So my suggestion might be something like this. Perhaps we could have that number 11 bus running, let's say, something like 0 and 30 minutes along Kingston Pike, so the Sequoia Hills residents can take it, and then say at 15 minutes and 45, going in the Sutherland route, so that the Sutherland residents can take it. Then the bus is doing double duty. It's allowing the Sequoia residents to still have access to a bus, and it's allowing the Sutherland residents to still have access to a bus. That's my respectful suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dan Feller.
Hi, my name is Dan Feller. I live at 1015 West Nokomis Circle in Knoxville. In order to spare you the long diatribe, I have written out a protest against the change in the plan, which I believe Belinda has distributed to you. My good friend Jack Neely, who you may know, was unable to attend today, but he sent me an email with his protest against aspects of the plan, which I've also, with his permission, copied out and given to you. I moved to Sequoia Hills, where I live. I moved to Knoxville 20 years ago to take a job as a professor at UT. And I chose my residence knowing that there would be a bus there, and that was part of the reason I chose to live where I do. I hate commuting by car, and I avoid it at whatever cost. So it was a primary selling point for me that I could take the bus from where I live to my office at UT and back. And I've been doing that faithfully for 20 years. I've even gotten an award for it. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to our most valuable passenger by you all. I'll bet you didn't know there was such an award. I don't know whether anybody else has ever gotten it, but I have. So it was greatly distressing to me when I looked at the details of the plan, and I must say those details were not, our attention was not particularly drawn to them by the emails that were sent. The emails said that there were going to be some changes in routes and there was going to be one new route. It didn't say you were going to eliminate the number 11 all the way down Kingston Pike. Nor did it explicitly say that the number 10 was going to be eliminated, though that had already, in fact, recently been done. So the result of this is that I now have no bus. I have no bus anywhere near me. But the 4,000 of my neighbors, most of whom don't ride the bus, but some of whom do, are going to have no bus. The Sutherland route is not an acceptable alternative for us. As Jack Neely's email will point out to you, you have to walk a long way across an active rail line to get to the Sutherland Avenue route from Kingston Pike. Like my good friend David Palmer, I do not see any reason, since you're going to be running buses every 15 minutes now, why you can't run every other bus through my neighborhood. That would preserve the same level of service on the Sutherland Avenue route that the 17 now provides. It would also preserve the service on the number 11. Lastly, briefly, I've been given to understand that you haven't gotten a lot of response from people like me, people whose bus is going to be taken away from them. And I don't think that indicates that there's no interest in this. First, if you simply ride the bus every day, unless you get the email, you'd have no idea that this is going on. There's been no notice on the buses themselves. There ought to be signs on the buses saying, we're taking this bus away from you, and there have not been. The second thing is that I do not think anybody would have dreamed, as Jack Neely's email will point out to you, that bus has been running for a century down Kingston Pike. And when even if you do hear, well, there's going to be some changes to the bus service, it doesn't occur to you that those changes are going to involve absolutely eliminating the bus that you've been riding for 20 years or more. And I think I've run out of things, and I've probably run out of time, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hubert Smith. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Hubert Smith, P.O. Box 2323, Knoxville 37901. Hello to some of you who I know. I sat up there with you for many years, and those of you who I don't know. I'm here today to speak in support of what Dottie is going to say about the O'Connor Center, so I'll leave that to her to speak about. My primary concern, other than that, is the elimination of the trolley system. Let me also thank Belinda for spending about 20 minutes with me on the telephone the other day, a good cordial exchange of information. I had not been able to find the information about the trolley system. Tommy, will you give me about a minute so I can make sure I wrap up?
Sure.
Proper, thank you. I think getting rid of the trolley system is a mistake. I'll just lead with that. You know, when you travel to other cities, anybody can get on a bus, but you know, when you go to San Francisco, New Orleans, or whatever, to get on the cable car, the trolley, whatever, it's unique. We have something here unique with the trolleys, and especially where I understand some of the changes might be made with a downtown connector. I spoke with some of the hoteliers who are friends of mine, Ken Knight at Crown Plaza, Paul Jordan at the Hilton, and others, where our trolleys touch all their points, and they say their customers love it. They love getting on the trolley. They love being able to walk out the door and get on the trolley and go around downtown to some of the places that Ed Patrick mentioned. So I don't know what work was done to contact the hoteliers, but if you didn't speak with them, I think you missed an opportunity to see what an asset these trolleys are. I understand the future and what you want to do with them in the future, but I think it gives Knoxville something that other cities may not have, and I hope that you'll strongly consider keeping those. My other concern is what we're going to do about the people at Summit Towers. It always seems to be an issue whenever we talk about trolleys or buses or whatever. What about the people on that hill at Summit Towers who are elderly and disabled and depend on public transportation to get off that hill and take them where they need to get to? Currently, the Green Line does that. You did put a stop down on Summit and to make it more available. You did put in a trail that leads down there. That's great. But I would ask that we not forget about those people up there on that hill every day that need that service. Also, in talking with Belinda, I think she mentioned to me that one of your ideas is to extend the downtown corridor down to First Creek at Austin, I think that'd be a waste. We already have bus service that serves that area, goes downtown. I would say any service a downtown connector would provide, let it provide to downtown. You know, there's ample bus service there at First Creek at Austin, but our downtown, I think, needs that service. And if you get rid of the trolleys, that's a whole other situation. I support stopping the orange line running through UT. They can take care of themselves. I think all the assets from Knoxville Area Transit should be toward these other citizens that depend upon the public transportation. How much time do I have, Tom?
Minute and a half.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So, again, I'll just go over some things just to make certain that you know, I'm clear, you're clear about these hoteliers. If you have not contacted them and asked them about the value of the trolley, I hope that you will, because I think you're missing something here if you have not. And so that's all that I have, other than I'm in full support of what I think Dottie is going to say about the O'Connor Center. And like Ed, I'm a user. I don't take as many languages as he does. But I do the exercise class twice a week. I probably spend about 10 hours a week there. I'm on their advisory board. And although the numbers may not be that great, but anybody that comes into the O'Connor Center to use the service is over 50. So we'll start there. And so many people coming in with assisted things walking, as I am, and things like that. And the sidewalks around that building are not that great, and that's probably one of the biggest issues. And I know that's not your issue, but it's the issue that we're facing. So I would just propose a compromise for consideration. Right now, and Belinda and I both agreed, coming in there twice an hour is a waste of time. But once an hour possibly could be considered. So just want to put that on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Cooley.
Sorry, I think we missed the sign-up sheet. I wasn't aware there was a sign-up to be able to speak. Is it too late?
She did sign up?
I signed in. Was that the same? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Cooley. Sorry, this is for Carolyn Cooley. Ms. Cooley.
My name is Arnold Grudin.
Arnold, give her 1 second. It's Miss.
It's the lady behind you.
If you wait just 1 minute, there's,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I think you're on the list. Just Ms. Cooley beat you to the autograph. All right. Please state your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes.
All right, hi there. I'm Dr. Caroline Cooley. I'm the president of Bike Walk Knoxville. I live at 903 Wingate Street, Knoxville, and I'm here today to express support of the reimagined CAT process, and it's what the work it's done, and that that right now the network overall looks very good, and we all know there are some tweaks that may have to be done, but overall we really value that we try to get the people that are using the bus the most, the best opportunities for getting timely bus service. Bike Walk Knoxville is a local nonprofit organization that works to make the Knoxville region a better place to bike and walk. And we want to have it available for all people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. And we feel that this new network addresses the variety of users across the Knoxville area. And we want to be very mindful to the people that are the most vulnerable as far as their ability to get around within the Knoxville area, and that the bus service is a very critical network that allows people, especially seniors, to get where they need to go. And so we support the overall network as an organization. On a personal note, I'll just add that I was looking at the network today, and I also live in Sequoia Hills, and not that I take the bus, because as you all know, if it's convenient, I try to ride my bike, and I do drive. But But I do know when I go up and down Kingston Pike, I do see people standing at the bus stops along Kingston Pike, and that losing that service is a big loss to those people that live in Sequoia Hills and also the people that work along Kingston Pike. So I'll just add that as my own comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Cooley. Dottie Livers? I think both of those are wrong. Could you fill in the blank?
That was very close. I'm Dottie Livers, and
right.
I live in the county, but I'm here in reference to 611 Winona Street. I can give you my street address if you need that too. I serve as the director of the CAC Office on Aging, of which the John T. O'Connor Senior Center is one of our largest and most visible programs for older adults in the community. And first, I want to start by thanking Kat and all that were involved with the Kat Reimagine plan, especially the creation of Route 23, which I know will include a closer bus stop for O'Connor Center on Winona Street. I'm here really on behalf of the participants of O'Connor Center, as you've heard a little bit alluded to already. And I want to share a few considerations with you in regards to the bus stop for Route 23 on Winona Street. Currently, the bus stops directly in front of the main entrance of O'Connor Center. The front entrance, or our main entrance, actually is on the opposite side from Winona Street and also faces the parking lot. For safety and security reasons, this is really our only unlocked entrance to the building and serves as our main entrance. We have many doors that go exits, but that's our really only main entrance for people coming in. It is monitored by a security video camera as well as staff, so we always have visibility on those coming right through our door being dropped off in the front. With the proposed changes, the bus would stop on Winona Street, but it would require riders to walk around the perimeter of the building to get to our main entrance. The distance is really 150 yards from the proposed bus stop to our main entrance, which is 1.5 football fields in length. While that may be possible for some, for those with mobility issues, maybe using walkers or canes or other assistive devices that come to our center, that is a barrier and creates many challenges that we'd like to try to avoid for them. Some also have balance concerns, which put them at higher fall risk. So if they become unsteady on their feet when they're walking the perimeter of the building, there's a concern on people laying eyes on them and knowing that they're in that situation. Some have compromised vision or other problems where it's really not advisable that they can walk that full 150 yards. And this is obviously becoming increased concern when there's inclement weather such as rain. There are also safety considerations to consider and concerns. Individuals who are experiencing homelessness and others are oftentimes around the O'Connor Center. It's not uncommon for individuals to find someone who's walking through the parking lot and maybe solicit them for assistance such as food or money. And when those getting off of the bus, they may be riding alone. And so the concern is that they may be in a more vulnerable position and unable to quickly get out of harm's way if a situation does arise. So really, if we are placing those who ride the bus to reach the center in an unsafe or dangerous position, they might decide to no longer be a part of this vital part of their socialization, health and wellness, and being able to have some purpose by attending the center. We are a city-owned facility, and we are managed by the Knox County Community Action Committee, and our goal is really to be easily accessible to all individuals 50 and over, and that includes now and in the future. And with the Route 23, that may bring additional older adults to our center to be able to participate. We also host many other meetings and events there, and the reason why we do is because they are right on the bus route. So I do want to thank you all for your time and consideration in ensuring that older adults really have an accessible and safe transportation option to get to O'Connor Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Livers. Arlene Goose. Hello.
Hi.
If you'll state your name and your address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Arlene Janus.
Excuse me.
and I live at 3934 Alma Avenue in Knoxville, Tennessee. I want to say that I was very sad and unhappy when I learned that CAT was wanting to remove the existing bus stop at the O'Connor Center. And I feel like there's a reason why they put the stop at that particular place, and now you're going to take it away. Knoxville is my hometown. I've been here for years. I started working here at age 14, and now that I'm a senior now, and I required disability back in 2019 with my vision, and I can't drive. So I need public transportation to get me where I need to go. And I come to the O'Connor Center 5 days a week. I come to talk to people, to get to know everybody's name, to exercise, to be in the computer room. And I do not want to and volunteer when I can. So the problem is there's 2 buildings that were built, housing buildings built for the homeless, right across the street. And if you move the bus stop on Winoma, then that's going to create a problem for the seniors that have mobile disability, to where if something happened to where they need to get away from some kind of violent event, that's a problem. That's a safety issue. And I want to say that please don't remove, y'all talk about removing on all senior complexes, talking about removing the bus stop or changing where they are, but really there needs to be an increase, because like me, I've been here all my life, and I work, now I'm a senior, I need help, and now I need you to take my service away. Anything, I need you to increase the service to all the senior complexes, you know. And I know a lot of people probably feel the same way I am, so what I'm saying is I'm speaking for those people that have the same feelings, but now we want you to keep all where they are, all the senior complexes, because people get groceries, people can't walk in the heat, and so my main thing is just keep what you have. If you guys make some changes, increase it, but please don't remove the bus stop at the O'Connor Center where it is, because like I said before, there's a reason why that bus stop was put there in the beginning, and please don't take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Arnold Gruden.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arnold Gruden, and I am from new immigration from Ukraine. I am a former professor of mechanical engineering, and I think my opinion will be interesting for you too. During all time my stay in America and in Knoxville, I used the service of KT. I participated in the inauguration of the central bus station and have even now very rare vintage souvenirs from this event. I have always admired the work of KT, its organization work, the skill of the drivers, the technical condition, clean condition of the buses, and exact observation of timetable. Of particular admiration is the computerization of traffic and using new electrical buses. In conversation with my friends in America and abroad, I always spoke enthusiastically about the work of buses and system KT. I live near a bus stop in Washington Ridge, and stop of buses 23 and 33. There are large residential complex nearby are Mount Booth Gardens, and where only the elderly people live, and the large Spring Meadow complex, where many elderly too. A large number of residents of these complexes, despite having their own cars, but prefer use buses. They visit the nearest mega shop daily, Walmart, Target, Kohl's, and shops of 3 large shopping centers, medical institutions, pharmacies, offices, and others institutions. By transforming to the bus number 90, we very conventionally get to the Fountain City and the Burlington areas. The bus number 90, most active passengers are the elderly residents of the big Northgate Terrace skyscraper complex. They prefer buy not so expensive good in Walmart after the traveling by buses number 90 and 23. Quite a few people in our area use this option when traveling to work. Burlington and Martin Luther King areas residents after willingly show up our Walmart using bus number 33. They proposed changes to bus routes 33 and 90 will despite residents of northeastern and northern parts of the city of access to close bus stops and will dramatically reduce their mobility. Elderly and sick people will not able to approach remote bus stops, and it will make their life very difficult.
Mr. Gruden,
We are
Mr.
well
Gruden,
aware.
sorry, you have 1 minute. Just wanted to give you a heads up. 1 minute.
We are well aware of the versatility of this problem under discussion, and very much hope that the discussion of complex of administrative, economic, and humanitarian aspects. Preferences will be given to the humanitarian aspect and the interest of elderly and sick residents and immigrants, especially fresh immigrants from Ukraine, have great difficulties in mobility of our region of the city. Please follow the Bible wisdom thesis. Each of us should please our neighbors for their good, to build them up. Romans 15:2. It's especially relevant when you make your current decision. We are very grateful in advance for taking into account our wishes and maintaining the existing transport system for buses number 33 and 90.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Gruden.
you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Gruden. Okay, next up is Aliyah Mansour.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Aaliyah, and I also reside at Maud Booth Gardens, which is a low-income housing funded by HUD, and we have about 39 low-income seniors, many of whom are over the age of 75, fall risks, do not have transportation. One thing that I've noticed, I've been in this position as a service coordinator for over a year, is that we have no direct service to any of the senior centers. A lot of my residents are dealing with depression, isolation, no family members. And so I try to encourage them to get out, but then I'm faced with the reality that they don't have any way to get to where they want to go. CAC is very helpful in providing transportation from time to time, but they're not, unfortunately, always reliable because of a lack of staffing. So we have residents such as Arnold Gruden, who I'm just amazed at how active he is at his age. I don't want to say anybody's age, but I'm just amazed at some of our residents and how strong they are, how proactive they are. Everything that we should try to do when we get older, to have a good quality of life. So that leads residents like Arnold and Deanna, who are here, that they don't qualify for the criteria for cat lift, for example, because they are actually pretty healthy. So they don't qualify for the criteria. I see them every day at the bus stop, which is not even a bus stop. It's at the end of someone's driveway, and the guy literally yells at them to get off his driveway. There's no place for them to stand. They rely on the bus numbers, and like Arnold told you better than I could, that he relies on 23 and 33. He goes to the gym, he tries to swim, he tries to exercise. And so those will be taken away. And same thing for Deanna. She relies on public transportation to go to Target, Walmart. And so, and she just informed me that there are no buses directly from Maud Booth Gardens that would take them to any of the senior centers either. So I just, I'm learning as I go along, because I don't take the bus, but I'm learning from our residents how crucial it is that we have transportation available. We're trying to keep them as independent as possible, because outside of living here, they really don't have many options if there are no family members. I didn't even realize, being new in this field, that they would not be able to afford living in an assisted living because it costs way more than what Social Security. So we want to try to keep our members as independent as possible, and I can encourage them to take transportation if it's actually like our neighbors. Broadway Towers have buses that go directly to their residents. That would be ideal. If not, at least, please don't take away those buses that they rely on. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And the last speaker I have is Judith Grant.
Thank you. My name is Judith Grant, and I live at 540 Riverfront Way. I just want to speak very briefly. I use mainly the trolley service. I find it very good indeed. I use it to do my grocery shopping, and if the orange line is curtailed, that's going to make my life rather difficult. And it is indeed, as other speakers have said, a very, very good thing for tourism. My bigger point is, how can we turn this city into a public transport city? You can infer from my accent that I come from a country where using buses and tubes and trains is for everybody. Here it's much less so. It would be great if we could all get on the buses and use them regularly. It would be fantastic for the environment. I'm not a very creative person. I don't have a marketing background. But I do know we've got some terrific schools here, and that the children are interested in the environment far more than people of my generation. Couldn't we partner with some of the schools and have initiatives to get their parents to go to West Town Mall or Turkey Creek or whatever, and realize you're not a loser if you ride the bus. You're somebody who cares about the environment. The more of us who get on those buses, the better the system will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have some more speakers signed up for the general public forum. That's at the end. So I'm going to read your name off just to make sure that you want to wait to the end. It may have been confusing. There were 2 sheets. So if you hear your name and want to speak now, please do. Otherwise, we'll call your name at the end of the meeting for general public forum. Mr. Griffin, did you want to speak again or no? Okay. Sharon McKibben? Would you? You'll wait. Very good. Deborah Riley? Would you like to speak now or wait till the end of the meeting? Okay, she's going to wait as well. You're going to wait to the end as well? All right. And then Damien Montalvo? Okay, all right, very good. All right, everybody knows what they're doing. Very good. Okay, I think that is all the speakers who have signed up. So now we'll move on to the next portion of our agenda. Oddly enough, is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. So I believe the minutes were sent out after the meeting last time. Is there any questions about those June meeting minutes? Any discussion by any commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Thank you. Motion, second? Seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Very good. Okay, the next portion of our agenda is reports. So I'll turn the mic over to Director Thorne for any, commissioner comments. Does anybody have any comments? There's a lot of discussion tonight, but if you have anything you want to point out now, you're available to. All right, staff. Director Thorne.
I just have one item. And in front of you, we passed out the demonstration detour on Route 34. Looks like this.
You have to get closer to the mic, I think.
Yeah, so just want to briefly talk about the demonstration detour on Route 34. We had an issue with keeping Route 34 on schedule, especially when the route is inbound to Knoxville Station. This demonstration tour will allow us to use Summit Hill straight to Danridge, outbound and inbound. We'll start this detour on August 28th, and it'll be effective. We'll bring it back to be effective in January if the board approves it. But we want to run this route as a demonstration detour to ensure that it works.
Okay. Is there any? What's the main driver for this?
Making sure the bus stays on schedule. We're having a difficult time when that bus is heading inbound to Knoxville Station, keeping it on time.
Okay.
So
all right.
that is my only item. Unfortunately, Doug from the TPO could not be here. His wife is dealing with an illness, so.
Okay. Thank you for that. Is there any motion for new business before we discuss the proposed network? No new business?
No.
Okay, so the next item is the resolution approving the Kta Reimagined recommended network. So we've heard a lot of comments today, but I think before we have discussion among the board members, I'd like to ask staff if you would give an overview about the whole process. We go over it every month, but it's important for people that are paying attention for the first time to hear that or hear it again. If you could give an overview of that. And I believe we have also a preliminary Title VI report related to the proposed network. So back over to you.
I'm going to turn over to Belinda to talk about, highlight the changes of the recommended network. And then she's also going to talk about and discuss the preliminary Title VI analysis that the board also has that we passed out ahead of time.
Thank you. Okay, so and just for some background, this has been over a year process, and I know you all remember this well. Is in multi-phases, we did a base analysis of the system as a whole, and then spent a lot of time going out to the public asking what seems like an unusual question, but very rational, is what kind of transit service do you want to see? Because we can't do everything, we can't be everywhere. And so that was phase one of public engagement. We came back to you all with those results and asked this board if they felt like the resources as they are distributed should be shifted at all either toward ridership concept, which is a little areas of more frequent service, or shift more toward coverage, which is covering more streets, but maybe not at frequencies greater than once an hour. So this board voted to shift resources to a 70% ridership, 30% coverage model. And that sent the consultants and the CAT staff and team back to the table to come up with a draft network based on those percentages. So we created a draft proposal, introduced that to you all, and then went back out to the public for what we sort of called phase 2 of public engagement. Also, a pretty extensive public engagement process where everybody looked at the draft network and said, yeah, this would be better for me. No, this wouldn't be better for me. Yes, this would be better for the city overall. No, this wouldn't be better for the city overall. So sort of just getting at those general questions. And then also very particular comments. So we brought those comments back to the board as well as the general survey response. And we heard from you all that there were some things you'd like to have some alternatives on. And that was particularly Route 23, Broadway Towers, O'Connor Senior Center, and then some other little minor adjustments routing-wise here and there. So we went back after the second phase of public engagement and have come back with this recommended network, which you saw last month. So this past, from last month to now, we have gone back out to the public to say, okay, we heard you, we heard your concerns. Are we closer now? Did we get it right? And so that is where we are in this process. My file on my computer says 2021, so we started this a while back. So it's, I hope, been a good process. I feel like we've done a lot of engagement, and I hope that that we have been able to accomplish all we wanted to with this. So the first thing I want to cover is Title VI. So let me say, of course, with every route change that happens that is significant, that is considered a major service change, we provide this board with a Title VI analysis, which essentially is to show the impact of any service change for minority and low-income populations compared with the overall impact of our service area. Are low-income people affected more with this change, negatively or positively? Same with minority populations. So this, what I sent to you, what I sent to you all is what I would just call a 10,000-foot overview, just so we get a general sense of the impact of an entire network change. This is not what I would consider the Title VI analysis that will come to you later if the board decides to approve this plan. We will do a much more in-depth official Title VI analysis when this board looks at route-by-route details of the network as we bring that to you. So this is just your kind of basic overview. And so this is a geographic-based analysis. What our consultants did was look at geographic area of people within a half mile of the network currently and the network that's recommended. And there's a certain number of people affected by that, and then breaking that down geographically, we're able to identify through census tracts how many of those people are low income, how many are minority, and what is the comparison with the overall population. So the good news is that there is not a significant difference in the overall population versus the minority population or the low-income population that is affected by these changes. So there's not a specific negative impact on a minority or a low-income population by these changes it's pretty equal to the overall population impact. So that's your 10,000-foot overview of Title VI analysis. Again, very general. We're going to bring you a lot more in-depth analysis if this board approves the changes and we come back to you with those details. Any questions on Title VI? Great. And then just to provide a little more detail about, I may not be doing this in order, I can't remember what order. A little more detail about the changes between the draft and the recommended. Some of just the highlights. We did put in Route 23 Millertown into the equation of the final recommended network. It does go by O'Connor, which it didn't before, so it's O'Connor direct to Broadway Towers, and then Washington Pike all the way out to Walmart. So Washington Pike does have service under this scenario out to Walmart. So a lot of those concerns that we heard, specifically from Broadway Towers, folks who wanted to go to Walmart will still have that capacity. Now, what we gave up for that was some of the frequency on Sunday, which you have seen. If you want to do that comparison, I put little crazy colorful charts at everybody's place. One side is our pre-COVID frequencies, and the other side is where we landed on the recommended network frequencies. And you can see that on Sunday that 30-minute service cuts off at about 4, 5 o'clock and goes to once an hour for most of that service. But I think from what I remember last month, this board felt like that was an okay compromise to allow the 23 to return for weekday service under this recommended network. So that is a change. We made some minor routing changes to better serve Austin East High School, Inskip Pool, and Main Street. And so I think the main, a few other little minor tweaks, just a roadblock here that was really more for safety reasons, but nothing that impacts anybody beyond a block walk. And I think another route covers the block that we moved. So just to review also, once we came back to the recommended bus network and our consultants ran the numbers again, access actually improved overall, which I thought was just great. When we listen to our community and make some changes, everybody wins. So the 45-minute job access increased from 16% to, I think it was 19% for overall residents. So that was encouraging, and there were some other good improvements as well, in particularly low-income residents and residents of color. That also went up. Low-income residents, that increase in 45-minute job access is at 24%. Previously, it was 20%. And residents of color, it's at 26% of an increase, and it was previously at 24%. So, so that is sort of overall the network. What questions what have I left out? What do I need to?
We'll open it now to questions that the board may have.
Sorry, this isn't unfortunately, our rules don't allow for public comment during this period, but the commissioners will have some chance to speak, and hopefully we'll address some of the questions or issues that were brought up earlier. Commissioner Breakwood, would you like to start us off?
Yes, thank you. A follow-up question for Belinda about the process in terms of next steps. So my understanding from previous meetings is that this proposed network is for the general placement of routes, but does not include things at the level of detail of the timetable, nor the exact placement of how many stops and where the stops will be. Is that a correct understanding of the process that comes next?
Yes. What the board would approve under the resolution concept that we have in the back of your packet would be the routes and the frequencies and span of time. So this is sort of saying, okay, we want a network that runs in these places, runs during these hours, and operates on these frequencies during these times of the day and days of the week. And that's the charty thing you have there, as well as the map. So then if the board decides to approve this plan, CAT staff will be going route by route, designing bus stop locations, time point locations, coming up with what the timetable actually will be, and we'll be able to look at how the timetable in one route interacts with another route. So we'll be able to really kind of put the whole thing together. So this board will see all of that along with the in-depth Title VI analysis next year to do kind of another final review and let the public really see the detailed impacts of that. So that'll be next year if the board approves this plan.
Thank you very much. Can I ask one more follow-up on that? So at the level of detail, for example, regarding the comments we've heard about the O'Connor Center, pulling into a parking lot versus not, is that comes later with that level of where the exact stop is, or if it's deviating at all from a road, is that now?
We tried our best to make the routes themselves what we proposed the routes to be, but we will be timing everything to see if there's any flexibility anywhere and what those impacts might be of making any changes beyond, the changes that we made for the recommended network. I mean, these are things we'll definitely look at. We'll just have to see what's feasible.
Actually, I think now would be a good time if you would one of you mind reading the resolution so that all the commissioners have this, but I think the public that's watching and at home would like to hear it?
Yes, I can read the resolution. Resolution, Knoxville Transportation Authority. A resolution of Knoxville Transportation Authority approving the CAT Reimagined Recommended Network Plan, whereas the KTA has jurisdiction over Knoxville area transit routes, and whereas CAT and the Knox County TPO have conducted a multi-phase planning process called CAT Reimagined, which has asked the public through extensive public engagement process what type of transit service was desired, and whereas, based upon that public engagement, the board created a plan which shifted resources to a 70% ridership, 30% coverage network. Whereas a draft network was created based upon that, which went to the public for a phase 2 of public engagement, and whereas the KPTA received all comments as well as an analysis of the most common concerns from that second group of public engagement on the draft network. And whereas the network was adjusted based on concerns expressed, resulting in a recommended network with those changes, which then went back out to the public. And whereas the KTA has held a public hearing to receive comments on the recommended network. And whereas the KTA has seen a preliminary Title VI analysis of the impacts of this recommended network, with the understanding that a full Title VI analysis will be provided with more detailed route proposals. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Knoxville Transportation Authority, KTA, Section 1. The Knoxville Transportation Authority approves the recommended network as presented. Section 2. The KTA and the public will see more detailed versions of all routes and schedules from the recommended network once those are completed, and will be asked to approve the detailed package of routes and schedules from the recommended network. The estimated implementation date of a new network will be August 2024.
Thank you. I think that's helpful just to make sure we're all aware of what we're voting on later today. But Mr. Lawhorn, you wanted to speak on something?
Yes, I wanted to follow up, make sure Commissioner Breakwood, your question was answered. So I think you made reference to when we come back and with further consideration, will there be the consideration of bus stops? This body approves routes, and typically staff makes the determination of bus stops because so much of that's directed by traffic and conditions and safety. So you are approving routes, and I don't want anyone to believe that you will at some point be voting on the actual location of stops themselves.
I will add, though, you will see the stops once we give you the maps. you'll have those in there, the timetables.
Thank you for that. Other commissioners with comments or questions?
I'm kind of curious. Mr. Feller was discussing the splitting of Route 11, maybe one day going down, 1 hour going down Sutherland, and 1 hour coming back the other way, which would keep service. I'm just curious, did anybody look at that, or is that feasible?
I would say that it would be feasible. It'd be very hard to educate the public on alternating between Sutherland and Kingston Pike back and forth. That would be the hard part, because I wasn't here, but I know we had routes in the past that we did this, and it was very hard to educate the public on, is the route going down Sutherland or is it getting down Kingston Pike, this 30-minute service, for 30-minute service?
That too, and I'd like to say, I realize we don't do stops, but I'm with the people at O'Connor Center. If there's any way to pull it in and cut that 150 yards out from Wyona Street to their front door, I'd like that to really be looked at when you start looking at stops. I think that's important.
I'll just maybe make a brief comment to combine a few comments so far. Is that the next steps are that this is an iterative process, and we'll never be done. We just reviewed changes to route to bus 34 earlier, so we won't get this perfect, and we rely on public feedback to keep tweaking. And I think that's kind of what your suggestion. So even after the final bus stops are identified, there'll be room for adjustments as well. So I think that's really important, that there will be stages of this. The implementation of this won't be until August of 2024. That didn't make any of the critiques any less valuable. I'm just saying that this is never done and set in stone. So I think that's really important to remember. It's something that I've appreciated by this staff, without our knowledge, obviously collects more feedback than we do and makes changes accordingly to us. So the advocacy can continue. And another thing I'll say, just as a general disclaimer, that I think we know, but may have been skipped over in some of the discussion today, is that this is a change to improve a network with zero more dollars. So this is a cost-neutral adjustment to a network to increase ridership, to increase expediency for more job access, low income, people without a car. I think there's almost 80% more people within 15-minute service. So somebody who lives in South Knoxville, I'm not going to get the benefit of that. So I hear some of the critiques around, and if you look at South Knoxville for that matter, it looks a lot like the gap now between Sequoia Hills and Sutherland. So I hear you. But with that said, I think I can say this as a city council member: advocate to your city council member and to the mayor if you'd like to see more budget added to CAT, because we're working with finite dollars. This board doesn't approve the budget for CAT. We work with what we've got, and we take direction from these folks and feedback from the public, but we don't always get to choose where dollars are added. I do think, if I may just go on for a bit more, this will be an ongoing process, and so we will need to collect priorities for, if we get more budget, what are the top 1, 2, 3, 4 things? And I think there's been very consistent comments, I think, today around the O'Connor Center, Sequoia Hills. I think the Trolley Center has some nuance to it, but it's not necessarily a dollar thing per se, but I do think there's value to it, and we shouldn't lose it if we can keep it. But just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that we don't get to add any more money to the system. So with that said, I'll pause and let any other commissioners who have questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you. Just let's talk, can we expand a little bit more about the downtown connector? I think there was a lot of comments about that. I know there's a lot of cities out there that have gone to that, and it's been successful. As we grow and the city grows, as we look to expand, we look to future ballpark, is there consideration that could be expanded in the future as the footprint of the city grows? Because there is, I do agree with some folks on the concern of, as we want to be a city that attracts folks here, tourism is big, it's big for the economy of downtown. How do we continue to make sure that we provide that to those folks to be a spot where we want to have that build tourism, build the convention center business, all those things. So
yeah, I think there's obviously an opportunity in the future that we could expand the downtown connector, as Chairman Smith has talked about, and that's advocacy, is talking to the council members, as our city grows, it's something we have to look at as staff to say, are we meeting the needs right now of the city? Do we need to expand or look at a different downtown connector in addition to the one we're presenting today and then recommended network? Always a possibility.
And I would also add this, one of the benefits to this network change is to think about transit differently. So if you are a visitor downtown, we've made a few changes to the network itself where you could be downtown and take the Central bus straight to Happy Holler. So actually your choices have expanded in a way if you just think of it differently. And so I think that's part of what we're trying to wrap our heads around too is, as the visitor, as a visitor experience, are there benefits to looking at how we pitch our system to tourists to expand beyond just a shuttle downtown? So I think expanding the downtown connector is definitely something we can look at in the future. But I think also looking at opening up the entire transit system to our visitors provides a lot more opportunity for them and also the businesses in places that they might not go to otherwise.
I totally agree, and I think how we market that and how we communicate that to our visitors and through our hotels will be critical. So, and are we still from a cost standpoint? Is that something that still will be part of the process as far as the downtown connector is concerned? Or?
So right now we're looking for ways to continue making the downtown connector free, but we're looking for partnerships and helping us pay for that to make it free. So that's what I'll say about it.
Any other comments from commissioners? I'll add just a couple more if there's no more from others. Miss Grant, I think was your name. Yes, thank you. My kids ride the 40 bus by themselves. They have at least a couple times, and I'm going to tell them what you said. So I appreciate that. I also think it's really important to highlight that kids ride free in the city, and so I myself will be taking some students of South Doyle Middle School from a neighborhood nearby with CAT staff and others in September to make sure they know they can ride the bus to school. I also just want to generally say that pedestrian infrastructure is required. So again, continue your advocacy for sidewalks and pedestrian-friendly walkways. Particularly for those with mobility issues, because we've had a lot of discussions around the bus can get you close, but if there's no margin on the side of the road to walk on and it's dangerous, it doesn't do you any good to ride safely to a dangerous walk. So just beat that drum on, continue to advocate to your local representatives, including the mayor, around pedestrian infrastructure. And one other thing I would add is that it's been really interesting for me I think I went to every public meeting that was held about this, and the first kind of half of that chapter was, shock to the change, and then it's been really nice to see individuals come up who are concerned about not having their bus, and then the staff, I think you've just done a great job of explaining, actually your commute's faster, you now have 2 buses instead of 3, and so it's been interesting to see, it's been great to see your knowledge kind of make people aware that it's going to improve the overall macro level pedestrian and ridership for that. So, but I also think there were more than 13, you said minor changes. These all the changes between the first network and the second network were substantive and got down to the O'Connor Center where we weren't going on coming right beside it, and now we're chipping away at going to the front door. So I took down, I think, a consistent set of comments around next step priorities for iterations beyond this, but with that, I'll just pause again. Any other comments around the proposed resolution? Okay. With that, I'll take a motion to approve or deny the resolution.
make the motion to approve.
Okay. Motion to approve. Do you have a second?
I have a second.
Okay. Any other discussion that hasn't been had, either related to the public comments or a conversation between commissioners? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So in terms of next steps, I think you mentioned that a little bit just a few minutes ago, but we obviously have some things to work on. Tell everybody in a little bit more detail what the next steps are.
We as a staff are going to get together and have our kickoff meeting and action plan. So we're going to start going individually by every route and developing that draft route, timetable, all the details. And after we start putting all of those together, we really kind of can get a sense of the real timing, the real budget, the real make sure everything works like we want it to work. And all of that will be packaged together along with the Title VI analysis. And this board will see that, we think, probably spring. So February, March of next year. And then that, I think, to be safe, should involve a public hearing process so that the public really can understand the true implications for their particular commute. And if the board approves that package of routes, or however the board chooses to do that, then we go on toward implementation, which means new bus stop signs, new bus stop printed schedules, new website, new everything, new network, and then we begin the challenge of communicating those changes to the public.
Speaking of communicating those changes, we're going to keep catreimagined.com live, and can we continue to provide updates at that website since that's the drum we've been beating for 2 years?
Oh no, good question. I'll check on that.
Okay.
That was the consultant-created site, so we can check on that. They may be able to give access to us so that we can have that.
I think Ricky's watching. Ricky, can you hear that? I think he's on Zoom, so I don't think he can give us some feedback. But seriously, I think it's something that we've tried to draw attention to. Obviously, there's been 2 years worth of, people rode buses, people went to different offices, people took surveys all over town. We still missed people. So to the extent we can draw the attention in the same place we've been drawing the attention, it would be really valuable, I think, to do that.
Yep. That's a good idea. We will ask, and like I said, if they cannot keep it up, we will move that information over to make sure that's still available to everybody.
Okay.
I'll just elaborate on what Belinda said too. There's going to be a huge training effort as well on our part to train customers on these new routes, where they're living, where they're trying to get to. So that'll be also an effort we take on in June and July of next year, leading into August 2024 implementation. So there is going to be extensive training that we'll have to provide.
Okay. Any other comments? Just to close this off, I think this staff has shown the ability, as has this board, to listen and change. So everybody that has advocated for the past 2 years, including those who showed up and spoke today, continue to advocate for those things. We will respond accordingly. All right. So the next portion of our agenda is public comments. So we have 4 speakers for that. Mr. Griffin, would you like to come say anything else? Yeah, if you have some more to say, you signed up for this section to speak as well. You can come up and say some more. No, if you can just go to the podium. If you don't have anything else to say, that's fine. But if you want to, you have that right now.
Okay, what I had to say is that 30 bus, that bus there goes straight to the corner building, and then it leaves there and it comes over my way. Sometime I'll catch over there where I stay at, and I'll go down to the corner building. And by the time I get off, I might want to get off and then catch another bus on Magnolia. So that was one thing I had to say.
If you don't mind staying after, maybe somebody from the staff could make sure there's clarity around what the bus changes will be for Mr. Griffin. I think they could tell you how specifically it will impact your routes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You just hang around for maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Sharon McKibben.
The Public Building Authority has made the decision to close the bathrooms at 10 p.m. Many of your routes, last buses departing the platform are at 11:15, and the number 12 departs at 11:30. Having these bathrooms closed is a disservice to your passengers. It's inhumane. I'm asking that you speak with Jane Burkett and make arrangements to have this changed to having these bathrooms available later. A platform supervisor has said, well, there's so many drug overdoses. That's 24/7, 52 weeks a year. 10 p.m. has nothing to do with that. And the last comment is a request to return Sunday service to the 2021 levels later than the 5:15 p.m. that it is now.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Deborah Riley. Miss Riley, are you still here? Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm just, the last person says actually no, thank you. So, well, I think we're getting ready to adjourn, and you can ask the staff question or any of the board members after. Okay, I think that's it for public comment. I think our next meeting is already set for August 24th. We will be in this room, I believe, 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Any other comments before we dismiss? With that, this meeting is adjourned.